Picture this. You're on the coast of Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. You see this perfect circle of the deepest, most incredible blue, right in the middle of turquoise water and desert mountains. That's the Dahab Blue Hole. It's absolutely gorgeous, a true pilgrimage site for divers. But it's a total paradox, because this beautiful spot has a seriously dark side. Okay, let's get into it. Just think about this number. In the last couple of decades alone, it's estimated that nearly 200 divers have died here. That's a staggering figure. It's not just some tough dive site. It is, statistically, the deadliest one on the entire planet. And because of that, it's earned a really chilling nickname, the Diver's Cemetery. So the big question we're tackling here is pretty simple. What is it about this one specific spot in the ocean that has claimed so many lives? To really get a handle on the danger, we first have to understand the place itself. The Blue Hole is a marvel of geology for sure, but its unique shape is exactly what makes it so incredibly dangerous. So what is it? Well, it's basically a giant underwater cave where the roof fell in thousands of years ago after the Ice Age when the sea levels rose. What that created is a nearly perfect vertical tunnel plunging straight down into the abyss just a few feet from the shoreline. You can see why it's such an irresistible draw for any diver looking for an adventure. But here's the thing. The hole itself isn't the main problem. The real killer, the feature that's responsible for the huge majority of the deaths here, is a very specific part of its structure. It's known as the arch. Okay, so just look at the numbers on this table for a second. You can get into the Blue Hole through a super shallow 6-meter deep gap called the saddle. It's totally safe, no problem. But way down, there's this horizontal tunnel, the arch, that punches out into the open ocean. And here is the single most important number you need to know. Its ceiling, the top of it, starts at 56 meters deep. That depth, well, it changes everything. A 26-meter-long tunnel? 56 meters down? I mean, on paper, that sounds like something an expert could handle, right? So why does it act like a perfect natural trap for so many people? It's this lethal combination of three things that are all working to deceive you. First, 56 meters is way deeper than the limit for recreational diving. You need serious, specialized training and gear just to be down there. Second, the water is so incredibly clear that the tunnel looks way shorter than its 26 meters. It tempts you, making you think you can just cruise right through it. And finally, there's often this sneaky little current pulling divers into the hole, which means swimming out through the arch takes more work and burns more air than you'd ever expect. But the traps aren't just visual. At these depths, the actual laws of physics start to wage a war on your body and your mind. This is where we meet the invisible killers. You see, for every 10 meters you go down, the pressure increases by a whole atmosphere. So by the time you reach the arch, the pressure is 6.6 times what you're feeling right now. That kind of crushing pressure completely changes the way the nitrogen and oxygen in your tank affect your brain and body. First up is nitrogen narcosis. Its nickname is the Martini Effect, and for good reason. The feeling is a lot like being drunk. The intense pressure forces nitrogen from your air tank into your brain's nerve cells, and it just messes with all the signals. Your judgment goes out the window. You might even feel a little giddy, euphoric, like nothing can hurt you. And in a place that demands razor-sharp focus, that is a recipe for disaster. Now let's say a diver, already confused by narcosis, misses the arch and keeps sinking. Well, something even scarier happens. The oxygen in their tank becomes poisonous. Under that much pressure, the very gas that's keeping you alive turns toxic to your central nervous system. The result? A sudden, violent seizure. And having a seizure underwater is almost always fatal. This is where the science and the physics turn into real human tragedy. The stories of the people who died here are probably the most powerful warnings you can find. The most infamous case, by far, is Yuri Lipsky. His entire dive was caught on his own helmet cam. He was ill-equipped, using a single air tank, and he was carrying too much weight. The footage is just haunting. You watch him sink right past the arch, completely disoriented from narcosis. He hits the bottom at over 90 meters, and you can just see the panic and confusion as he, in his final moments, takes his own regulator right out of his mouth. And then there's the heartbreaking story of Connor O'Regan and Martin Guerra. Their bodies were found together, way down at 102 meters, holding each other. You can imagine what happened. One of them got into trouble, and his buddy, trying to help, followed him down until they were both lost. It's a tragic reminder of that powerful human instinct to save a friend, an instinct that all too often leads to two deaths instead of one. All of these tragedies, though, they forced a complete change in how the Blue Hole is managed. The story is shifted from one of ego and recklessness to one of responsibility and extreme preparation.
And no one understands this better than a man named Tarek Omar. He's a local technical diver who has taken on the grim but necessary job of recovering the bodies from the hole. He's brought up over 20 himself, and his philosophy is simple. The problem isn't the Blue Hole, it's the diver. As he says, many want deep water before they have deep knowledge.
And the approach today is just night and day from what it used to be. The old days of showing up with a single tank of air and a massive ego are long gone. Now, if you want to dive the Arch, you need special gas blends, you have to have a mandatory local guide, and there are strict government regulations and even police making sure that no one breaks the rules. So, to beat those physiological traps we talked about, modern technical divers have come up with some brilliant solutions. They breathe a gas called Tremix, which uses helium to replace some nitrogen to fight narcosis and some oxygen to prevent toxicity. They carry multiple backup tanks, and they follow a strict rule of thirds for managing their air. They basically use science and incredible discipline to overcome the physics that killed so many others. And still, the allure is there. The hillside that looks over the Blue Hole is covered in these homemade memorial plaques for the divers who've died. And one of them, for a diver named James Smith, has this incredible paradox written on it. Don't let fear stand in the way of your dreams. It just perfectly captures the spirit of the people who are drawn here, the deep desire to push boundaries and see what's on the other side. In the end, it really leaves you with one final thought. The Blue Hole isn't evil. It's not cursed. It's just a place that follows the unforgiving laws of physics. For the people who respect those laws, who come with deep knowledge and meticulous preparation, it is an absolute dream. But for those who don't, it's a nightmare. And it makes you wonder, maybe the line between a dream and a nightmare is simply discipline.